Independent, proud, aloof, inscrutable. Cats. They don't obey orders. They're almost impossible to train. They share our lives, but do so on their own terms. And that's because they're only a whisker away from their wild relatives. Once you know what to look for, maybe you'll see the wild cat crouching inside your own fireside tabby. And the animal you discover there may prove to be more complex, more contradictory than you may imagine. Burmans and Somalis, two very different kinds of cats, but don't be deceived by appearances. Under the fur, they're still both very close to the wild ancestor. That's not so surprising to serious cat watchers, but it's important to remember that it's not a half-hidden wildness. It's more of a split personality, because with the cat it's now tame, now wild, now tame, back and forth. And if we follow the cat from dawn till dusk and right through the night, we'll see the way in which it switches from one persona to the other. One minute it's a loving, friendly pet, like this. The next moment, it's out there fighting, hunting, defending its territory, just like its wild ancestors. And our cat's ancestry goes back at least 4,000 years, to ancient Egypt. Cats, little different from the present-day wildcats of Africa, cashed in on a readily available source of food, the hordes of rats and mice attracted by the Egyptians' vast grain stores. These opportunistic cats were adopted by man as pest controllers, became family status symbols, and finished up venerated as goddesses. The punishment for killing a cat was death. Dawn, after a night on the tiles. 4,000 years and 100 pedigree breeds later, the cat still remains surprisingly similar to its giant relative, the tiger. But the tiger is only one of 37 species of wild cats, some big, some small. Cats haven't been domesticated as such. Humans and cats have simply learnt to live together. So make no mistake about it, when you open that door, you'll be letting in a wild animal. Cats love to rub themselves against us, but why do they do it? Well, it's much more than a show of affection. The cat starts by rubbing against you with its head, its cheeks, and then the side of its body. Your legs will do, but ideally it would like to greet you head to head. By doing this, the cat is marking you with scent from its special skin glands. After the initial greeting, the cat may roll over to invite further contact. It's all a highly ritualized greeting ceremony, finishing with an invitation for you to sniff its behind. Wild cats say hello to each other in much the same way, whether it be a courting couple, a cub greeting its mother, or the members of a social group like a pride of lions. The territory of a cat is a network of scented trails, signposted by its own scent marks. It lives in a world of odours of which we are totally unaware. If a cat finds something new in its territory, it covers the strange-smelling object with familiar smells from its own cheek glands. Tigers will mark conspicuous objects in their territory in the same way. Finally, a squirt of pungent urine is left as a scented calling card for other felines. As tomcats patrol their territory, they check out their own and other scent marks to read the odour news. It's the feline equivalent of reading the morning papers. By grimacing, the scent is drawn over a special sense organ in the roof of their mouths. The cat can then tell who's passed by and when. And a female on heat produces this grimacing in all cats. A second Tom discovers the new signpost on the laundry basket. At the first sign of an intruder, any cat will cover the offending smell with scent marks of its own. A rub of the head or cheek, and a generous spray of urine, and the animal leaves its own unmistakable calling card. Further down the trail, the first Tom is still leaving his mark, and like all felines, he leaves it at a height convenient for other curious noses. Sometimes cats scrape the ground so that their hind feet pick up the smell of their own pungent urine. This identifies them with their own territory. Further on, the territory owner again comes across the intruder's calling card. Immediately, he overmarks it with his own. Some cats also need to identify the inside of the home as part of their territory, usually to their owner's dismay. In the much larger territory of the wildcat, a longer lasting smell is needed. This Scottish wildcat rarely buries its droppings. Instead, it leaves them uncovered on logs, rocks, or hillocks for all others to smell and to see. So why then do our pet cats bury their droppings? Maybe because they see us as dominant cats, and they don't want to challenge us. The burying helps to switch off their threatening odor. Another annoying feline habit. But what's the reason? Well, our pampered pets are only doing what comes naturally in the wild. It's more than just a manicure. A scratching post is a personal advertisement. Other cats can see and even smell the scratches. That's because the cat has yet more scent glands between its toes. Late morning, and for this cat, the daily patrol continues. A quick sniff and the intruder has been rumbled. All is not well in the garden. The intruder knows the Ginger Tom is the territory owner because his scent matches the scent marks in the territory. It's too dangerous for predators like these, armed with savage teeth and claws, to indulge in uninhibited fighting. Instead, they rely on posturing and on special signals to settle their arguments. Nothing deters like the cat's explosive spitting hisses and snarls. Some species, like bobcats, have white spots on the backs of their ears, which they display when they rotate them to signal their changing moods. Cats' ears laid flat show mixed aggressive and defensive emotions. This time, the signals fail and the male gets too close. The female rolls defensively onto her back and lashes out with all claws. The morning patrol over, the middle of the day tends, for most cats, to be occupied with grooming, sleeping, and surveying their territory. For this, a good vantage point is selected. Domestic cats can spend up to 18 hours a day asleep, twice as much as their human owners. Lions may rest for a staggering 20 hours a day. But cats aren't lazy. It's simply a way of conserving energy. Cats seem to spend hours grooming themselves. It's obviously more than simply keeping clean. But what exactly? Well, the cat's fur is an insulator, not only against cold, but against heat as well. If the fur is matted or dirty, or simply disarranged, it's less efficient. So the hairs have to be smoothed back into a well-fitting jacket. For an instant wash and brush up, the cat has a cleverly designed rough tongue. It's tightly packed with hard but flexible spines which act like the teeth of a comb. Grooming also gets rid of dead hair and may even be a way for the cat to keep cool by letting saliva on its fur evaporate. A lick from a fellow cat not only keeps clean those parts that a cat's own tongue cannot reach, but it reinforces the social bond between familiar animals. And have you ever wondered why, after you've been stroking your cat, it immediately starts to groom itself? The answer is that it's tasting you, sampling your scent and then mixing it with its own. But there's no getting away from it. Cats love being stroked, and maybe these pictures give an insight into why. The tongue of the mother leopard licking its cub is the same action as the smoothing movement of the human hand. What you gain? Can it be that we have a mother-kitten relationship with our own pet cats? It does seem likely. So what we've done as owners is to extend our cat's kittenhood indefinitely. We provide food, shelter, love and attention. We become surrogate mothers. In fact, you could call the domestic cat the kitten that never grew up. Now we're beginning to see why we have such an intimate relationship with our cats. Our role as mothers, rather than owners, prompts in them a whole array of kittenish behavior. This cat seems to be drooling and at the same time treading, the classic way in which any kitten acts when being suckled. In fact, being suckled is such a basic activity that pet cats, separated from their mothers, will suck almost anything. In the wild, tiger cubs, which feed from the mother for up to 6 months, develop an attachment to their own personal nipple within a few days of birth. In this way, the mother avoids being ripped to shreds in a free-for-all at feeding time. In large prides of lions, lionesses sometimes share the responsibilities of motherhood, and their cubs are not so fussy about which lioness, or indeed which nipple, they feed from. With milk continually on tap, there's less competition at feeding time. These two domestic cats are operating in the same way, like overcrowded lions. Between them, they have 12 kittens, and it's a free-for-all as far as nipples are concerned. This paw treading on the mother's belly is the kitten's way of stimulating her milk flow. Echoing this, pet cats can often be seen treading the laps of their owners and purring, another throwback to kittenhood. When the heat has gone out of the day, all cats become more active. As darkness approaches, the urge to hunt takes over. "4,000 generations of selective breeding and a full stomach have not quelled the cat's urge to kill." While the sense of smell is predominantly used in communication, when it comes to hunting, sound and sight take over. This animal, unlike the domestic cat, clearly has to kill to eat. But for both, it's the sudden movement of the prey that stimulates the attack. Small prey are dispatched with a nape bite that dislocates the neck. But against large prey, this would be ineffective. Instead, with them, the cats employ a suffocating throat bite. But the urge to kill is only partly inborn. A learning process is also involved. The mouse living with this cat family surely demonstrates this fact. Obviously, this mother cat was herself never taught to recognize mice as prey. But acquiring the knowledge to hunt and to kill is complex. These wildcat kittens have inherited certain basic killing actions, but they need to sharpen their skills and to learn which animals to kill. An efficient mother will bring back live prey on which her kittens can practice. These caracal kittens playing with this jerboa are doing the same thing, learning to kill. But there's nothing gratuitously cruel here. It's vital for the cat's survival that it learns as quickly as possible to become an efficient killer. Striking the prey with its paws helps to stun it. In fact, it's essential that the cat learns to control the prey with its forepaws before delivering the killing bite. And often the sheer inexperience of the young predators allows the prey to escape. But caution is important too. All hunters are terribly vulnerable. One of the things they have to learn is to kill without being hurt themselves. This jaguar is very wary of making contact with an animal not encountered before. Only when it's sure it won't be injured itself will it go in for the killing bite. Hunting is therefore a combination of simple response to movement, an inborn urge to kill, and acquired hunting skills. And this is true both in the wild and in your back garden. It's been suggested that pet cats play with their prey after a successful hunt simply to wind down and get rid of excess nervous energy. And mysterious indeed is our cat's habit of presenting us with prey offerings. The cats most likely to deposit little gifts like this on your doorstep are neutered females. unable to perform the activity for their own litter, they redirect it towards their human companions. Take away those human companions, take away the house and the garden, and cats revert very quickly to the wild state. And perhaps the first stage in that wildness is this: a city feral cat. Nobody feeds it. It has no home to return to. It lives alone and on its wits. From cat's eye to cat's eyes, both supremely well designed for detecting light at night. It's not difficult to see where the inventor got his idea from. Behind the cat's retina lies the tapetum lucidum, a layer of glittering cells which acts like a mirror, allowing the cat to see in the dark by gathering every scrap of available light. At night, its vision is at least 6 times more sensitive than ours. One of the problems of living alone is finding a mate, and for this the tomcats follow their noses. It begins with the female coming on heat and calling to the males. She displays to them with lots of purring and crooning and rolling on the ground, rubbing herself and writhing in a manner most provocative to the males, who gather all around her. Female domestic cats who've not been spayed will perform in the same way towards their owners. This is because domestic cats see their human owners as dominant cats. Such an open invitation from the female leads to a great deal of squabbling among the males. The caterwauling associated with mating is not really sexual at all, it's aggressive. Eventually, one of the males, probably the territory owner, will approach her and sit close to her, offering little reassuring chirrups. What follows is an elaborate ritual where the female alternates between sexual provocation and aggression. An astute Tom will learn to read the signals, feigning indifference and at the same time allowing her time to perform. In this way, he gains her confidence. Eventually, he grabs her by the scruff of the neck with his jaws and then carefully mounts her. The bite on the back of the neck is not so much a brute force restraining technique, instead it's a behavior trick played by the male. All cats, whether large or small, wild or domestic, retain a specific response to being grabbed firmly by the scruff of the neck, which dates back to their kitten days. Kittens have an automatic reaction to being held in this way by their mother. She uses it when it's necessary to transport the kittens from an unsafe to a safe place. It's crucially important that the kittens or cubs don't struggle on such occasions when their lives may be at risk. So felines have evolved a freeze reaction to being taken by the scruff of the neck, a response which demands that they stay quite still and do not struggle. Mating over, the female unexpectedly attacks the male because the male's withdrawal causes her pain, and it's that pain that actually triggers ovulation. She's now receptive to more matings by the male and indeed by any other Tom who takes her fancy. Rome, the Colosseum. Just how easily our cats can regress to a wild state is shown by the colony of feral cats which live here, and indeed in many major cities throughout Western Europe. They're getting on for some 60 animals here. If the pet cats in our homes show striking similarities to their solitary cousins, leopards and tigers, these feral colonies behave in an extraordinarily similar way to the only truly social wild cat, the animal whose roars filled the Colosseum 2,000 years ago, the lion. They both have found positive advantages to living in groups. Females of feral cats enjoy close social relations, as do lionesses, and both are prepared to share maternal duties. The males in both are solitary with large territories so that they can mate with as many females as possible. Females of both feral cats and lions share the suckling and grooming of the young. And, unusually in cats, a dominance hierarchy forms. In some feral cat colonies, it's been observed that, like lions, nursing mothers move up and down the order of seniority depending on how many kittens they have. Again, as with lions, intruding males may be attacked by females, and strange males that do make it in may kill all the existing offspring. And here you can see quite clearly the hierarchy in action, the dominant cat laying claim to first pickings. But the real advantages of group living can only be reaped when there's a plentiful supply of food. And that's true both on the plains of Africa and here in the centre of Rome. These cats have their diet supplemented by kind-hearted Italian cat feeders or gattari. Plentiful food leads to communal mealtimes with no squabbling. And the same is true for lions. The feral cat has had to fend for itself, and so, in a sense, it has grown up. Gone is the kitten-like behaviour typical of pet cats. But whether house cat or feral, they're both tigers at heart. And what a pleasure it is to be able to share a home with one of them, our own personal tiger on the tiles. A graceful, complicated, infuriating, delightful animal, the domestic cat.